Hello, and welcome to a new and very dumb segment on the Concrete River YouTube channel called Garbage Time, in which I do something very stupid. So today I'm actually celebrating something. I posted my first flavor review on Reddit on October 27th, 2016, and I've been doing it for about a year by this point. I missed a couple days here or there. I don't know, threw a couple extra reviews in there, so I should be pushing about 365 reviews right now. So that's something. I'd like to think I've learned quite a bit, but instead of celebrating in some sort of logical way that makes sense, I'm going to vape some interesting flavors, and we're going to record it, and I'm going to try to give you some flavor notes on things you probably don't want to vape. So in order for this segment to work, this is going to be a little bit different than usual. So usually, spoiler alert, I kind of vape the stuff that I'm talking about before we actually hit the video. I find that works out a lot better for actually preparing notes and all that. But today, these will be my pretty much first unfiltered reactions to these concentrates. Today I have Flavor Art Bone Marrow, Flavor Art Bacon, and then I have 3 cheeses from One on One. Got their normal cheese, their Parmesan, and their Cheddar, so we'll see how that works out. Before we go any further, I'd like to give a big shout out to N Hall for donating the first 2 concentrates for this video right here. He sent me the bone marrow and the bacon. I'm eternally grateful. He also sent me some real flavor stuff, but really it's all about the bone marrow for me. So my testing procedure here, I have the bone marrow and the bacon mixed up at 3%. These atomizers have already been broken in with straight PG. They're all dripped, ready to go. What you are seeing will be my unfiltered reaction, and we'll go ahead and jump cut if something terrible happens. But otherwise, let's go ahead and give it a shot. So first, I have the Flavor Art Bone Marrow. Okay, so right off the rip, this doesn't taste a lot like bone marrow. Tastes like beef stock, but beef stock in which there was way too much like celery leaf or something. It has a very sort of herbal bitter hit to it. Yeah, I'm not even gonna go for beef stock. It doesn't have that kind of like thick, unctuous body that you'd really expect from like a bone marrow. It's a little too beefy. The beef note isn't bad, but it's kind of more like a Lipton soup kind of beef note. There just isn't much depth or richness to it. Okay, we're redripped. Yeah, it's thin, it's astringent. I'm not getting too much actual beef flavor out of it. Definitely doesn't have that sort of unctuousness that I would expect for bone marrow. Honestly, I thought this was going to be a lot more intense. This is kind of a letdown. So in terms of where you'd use this is one of Flavor Art's water-soluble concentrates. So it should at least be vaguely safe to vape, I guess. I don't think it even works all that well as the novelty beef flavor. I think mostly what you get are sort of bitter herbs right up front, and it doesn't really have the beefiness or the body to really pull off a good beef stock, and it definitely isn't sort of rich enough to work as a bone marrow. So even if you are in the market for a niche beef flavor, I would probably end up skipping this one actually. So in order to keep this, scientific, I am going to clear my palate between these tests. I have a magnum of Shasta Club Soda, the club soda that flavor reviewers love. Moving right along, we have something that smells a lot more pungent. We'll see how it vapes. It's Flavor Arts Bacon. I have it mixed here at 3%. as a man whose arteries are pretty much just full of lard at this point, I'd like to think I know my bacon. That's not awful, I guess, for a bacon flavor. There's nothing that really tastes all that rancid. There, some of that really heavy fattiness doesn't quite translate, which I guess is to be expected for a water-soluble flavor. It does have a distinct baconosity to it, though. What it really reminds me of are like bacon bits, you know, because they're made of soy and kind of sprayed with fake bacon flavor. Has a lot of that kind of vibe to it. Also smells like a freshly opened bag of bacon strips for dogs. It's that same kind of bacon aroma. Obviously, you're not going to get like the texture or the crispness or anything here, but it does feel kind of one dimensional. You know, it's that kind of fatty, artificial bacon taste. It's definitely not bad though, and I wouldn't call it like disgusting by any stretch of imagination. There's nothing that tastes like rancid or butyric or anything like that. It's just kind of a flat artificial bacon flavor, which, you know, it came out of a bottle, so I'm not really too mad at that. Um, it isn't particularly rich, and I don't get like much in the way of like a heavy smoke flavor either. I think they could have probably stepped their game up a little bit. If they went heavier on like a sweeter smoke flavor like Blackfire. That actually would help out quite a bit if you wanted to mix with this. So where it gets really fun with this, I think would be in terms of pairings. This isn't really a bully of a flavor. It's not like super strong, super aggressive. I think if you wanted to kind of fuck around, because obviously nobody really wants to vape it, but I've seen some like pancake breakfast flavors. So I think if you paired this with like a pancake base, some TFA butter, and like some Flavor Art maple syrup, I think you could actually come up with sort of like a novelty short stack flavor. But it's definitely not bad. You know, it's a pretty clean vaping flavor, all things considered. So if you're in the market for a bacon flavor, Flavor Arts Bacon is not a bad choice. So next, I have some stuff that actually truly terrifies me. Shakes me to my very core. So I have not one, not two, but three one-on-one cheeses, and I'm going to see if I can tell the difference between them. The first one I'm starting out with is their normal cheese flavor, which I have to say out of these three was definitely the most pungent. I have seen people vape cheese and react to it very, very badly. I'm kind of dead inside, honestly. I don't know. Flavor is just kind of flavor for me. There's a couple things that set me off. I fucking hate rose flavor more than anything else in the entire world. But in general, I have a pretty strong stomach. I have vaped these cheeses before. I lost a mix-off with the incomparable Jennifer Jarvis, and part of my self-imposed punishment, I mixed up a suicide mix with 5% each on these, along with some one-on-one pickle and some real flavor sriracha. And I think I kind of cheated there because honestly, I think that kind of all that cheese kind of muted itself out, and really what you got is the sriracha and the pickle out of it. So I mean, it was smart. I guess it sounded disgusting. It wasn't that bad to vape. But by itself, this seems quite a bit more terrifying. So I do have one-on-one cheese at 5%. Oh, there it is. Oh, oh God, there it is. Okay. So this flavor, it's bad. I will say that right out front. It's kind of a trick though because it starts off and you're not getting anything too overwhelming right off the bat. It kind of tastes like smelling freshly opened craft singles. It has that sort of light plasticky cheese aroma, but as it starts to sort of heat up and as you continue vaping it, that's where it all starts to get really weird. So there's a really gross sweetness underneath all this, and you get like some overtly kind of moldy cheese notes going on, which start to show up, and then that sweetness just kicks in, and that sweetness for me is what just put me over the top with it. That's not a pleasant vape. There's basically no mouthfeel either, so it's like this weird thin cheese aroma, and then boom, there's the mold, and then the sweetness comes in, and it just blows the entire thing out. That was not good. Of course, after saying that, and it lingers too. Like that's the worst part of it. So you get through that initial sort of burst of like plastic cheese, and then mold, and then sweetness, and like it collects in your sinuses and just sticks there. Like yeah, that, like I knew what I was getting into. That is definitely not good. I think if my stomach was not quite as desensitized and I wasn't as dead inside, I probably would have just lost it and hurled there. So the big question, does it actually taste like cheese? I'm gonna go no, honestly. I think there is some cheese here, but the body has that weird moldy sweetness to it. And it feels a lot more like rancid than actual cheese. I am not getting anything that tastes all that vomity. It doesn't have that kind of butyric note, which I guess is good, sort of. But it just doesn't really cohere into something that actually tastes like cheese. I think you can look up Flavora's Brie cheese. For a concentrate that says cheese on the bottle and actually does a pretty good job of it. This just, I mean, one on one can't shoot straight, basically, because they can't even make a realistic cheese flavor. Like, they shot themselves in the foot with this one. Yeah, it's too sweet, and then it kind of tastes like stale nacho cheese that has like some jalapeno juice mixed into it. Like, it's a little atrocious. So yeah, in terms of what to mix this with, I don't think I would, honestly. Just being even open minded and saying, I want to vape something that tastes like cheese. I don't think this tastes that much like cheese, and I think what they're doing is pretty gross. So let's see if they did any better with the cheddar cheese. This one's different, at least. So I do get something that tastes like a dry, sort of aged, sharper cheddar note going on in the top notes, but the body is all like sweet nail polish remover. This has been steeping for I think 6 days at this point, so it could still just need to steep out longer to get rid of some ethyl alcohol or something in the base. But as it is, yeah, it tastes like sharp cheddar, sugar, and nail polish remover. So I guess props to them on getting the cheddar part of that right. That is definitely kind of cheddary, and this doesn't taste as moldy as a straight cheese. But again, it's not really gonna work as a full cheese flavor. The cheese flavor here is actually fairly light compared to that sort of chemical sharp base going on. There's just a little bit of cheese in the top notes. So even if you did want, that bacon cheddar kind of vape, I don't think this is going to get you far enough into actually have enough cheddar in the thing. I'm not here to judge. I mean, if somebody wants to vape cheddar, I got you, fam. I understand. Like, this isn't going to be a good choice for that, though. It's just, there's a little bit of like decent cheddar flavor here, but the base of this is just entirely a mess. You could try to cover that up with more and more flavor, but honestly, I don't think you're going to get a full cheddar note out of that. That is not fun. Maybe the carbonation wasn't the best choice. Okay, so last I have their Parmesan cheese. So after those last two cheeses, this one actually doesn't taste as bad. I don't know if that's just my sinuses giving up for the day. Um, but I do get some sort of like drier, buttery Parmesan flavor on the top end of it. Again, this is a really top heavy flavor. I think what this does a little bit better for me than the cheddar cheese is that kind of like that weird sweet nail polish base doesn't seem as pronounced. We're still talking about 5% for both of these. Which is not to say that this isn't still overly sweet. It's definitely still overly sweet. This one has just a tiny bit more potential. I don't know. You might be able to work this with some flavor art bitter wizard. Honestly, the sweetness here doesn't have much body to it, and it isn't as chemical tasting as the cheddar cheese. So you might be able just to dull that sweetness and get some of that Parmesan on the top end. Um, Parmesan doesn't really taste good per se, but it does kind of taste like Parmesan, so it's got that going for it. But yeah, I mean, real world obviously don't buy this. But if you have a severe hankering to vape some Parmesan cheese and you got a bottle of Flavor Arts Bitter Wizard around, you might be able to make this work as a Parmesan top note with some other stuff. I know there are a couple tomato flavors out there. Flavor makes a good basil. um, you might be able to hack together a decent like pizza marguerite or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. That sweetness in the base is kind of killing me on this one. So I usually say, hey, I hope that was helpful. This isn't going to be helpful to anybody. This is honestly just a disgrace for everybody involved. I just wanted to do something kind of fun to celebrate the fact that I've been putting out flavor reviews for a year, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, we're celebrating life today by just staring death directly in those hollow black eye sockets and saying that we've beat you, we have vaped the cheese, and we have lived. But again, special shout out to Ann Hall. Thank you so much for sending in that bone marrow and that bacon. I really do appreciate it, actually. That's pretty fantastic. Special not shout out to One on One. You fucked up your cheese flavors, bros. I don't know. Hey, thank you for watching, though. And when I say I do appreciate it, I really do appreciate it. This has been kind of a fun experience. So I think moving forward, from this whole arbitrary year mark, I'm going to be refocusing a little bit of my effort more on doing some first tests that I want to test, some newer stuff, but then keeping going with the sort of tasting notes series where I'm doing more like concentrate comparisons and trying to come up with some useful info for everybody. But hey, if you made it through this entire thing, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will catch you later.